Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. I hope you like today's show, and I appreciate all the new subscribers coming on board. Appreciate the support. If you like today's show, please click like, consider subscribing, and consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. And a shout out to another whiskey tubers called Flat Cap Whiskey without the E. Flat cap meaning these bonnets. Flat Cap Whiskey without the E. Check them out. I think they're a real hoot. They're real, like I think I am, and they're unique with a dry perspective, dry sense of humor, and they have a yin and yang about them, and they keep it real. In every show you see, I wear a different shirt, and normally I don't talk about any of them, but just saw the first show of the End of the World Tour, Kiss, in Mansfield, Massachusetts, last week. I think it was August 18th, 2021, the first show of their thing, and had a great time. What a blast, really, great time, and highly recommend checking them out. The show is unprecedented. And then a real quick shout out, as everyone knows, I live on Cape Cod, and highly recommend John's Liquor Store in Falmouth, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. No relation to me. And also a couple of excellent whiskey shops over the Cape in Massachusetts. In Norwood, Massachusetts is in Norfolk, Massachusetts, Norfolk Wine and Spirits. Great shop. And then also heading right over the border in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, Town Wine and Spirits. The owner there, Elliot, knows his stuff. He's had decades of experience, and he really knows his Scotch, and he's also visited Scotland. Wealth of information and a true gentleman. Okay, on with the show, and as I always say, no matter how good it is and how much it cost, it's just whiskey, folks. Today we're going to be talking about the 2020 release of Springbank 12 cask strength batch 21, coming in at 56.1 ABV. My understanding is the barrel maturation on this batch is 45% sherry, 25% bourbon, 25% burgundy, and 5% port. Obviously, it's a Campbelltown whiskey, and they also make Hazelburn and Longrow. And as always, Springbank products are always unchill filtered with natural coloring, no color added. I'm really enjoying the hell out of this bottle, so much so that I bought another bottle, and if there's still one on the shelf, maybe I'll even get another one. Really enjoying it. But a caveat, earlier on in my Scotch whiskey journey, it was 2 or 3 years ago, I had a Springbank 12 for the first time. It was probably the 2018 release, maybe 2019. But anyway, it was earlier in my in-depth Scotch journey, and I didn't really appreciate it. I found that bottle in the past quite harsh, and I don't mean harsh I mean that in a novice sense. I found it harsh and astringent, and occasionally, if I didn't put any water in it, I'd get that anaphylactic shock. So it was potent stuff. I wasn't ready for it, but now I am. And again, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So I have 2 samples poured, one with a little bit of water in it and one straight up. On the nose. Not all the time, but a lot of the time I get a slight hint of vinegar, which certainly is not a prominent note, but that might be a sour wine note that's creating that from all the wine barrel finishes, maturation on this. A slight, very slight hint of ash. Springbank is lightly peated, but I'm really not picking up much peat, if at all, on this, but maybe a slight hint of peat ash. I also pick up like a flour dough paste, raw dough note, a little bit of brown sugar, and a little bit of that funk. And what I mean by funk, because it gets confusing when everyone uses this term loosely, for me, funk, it's a barnyard note, a wet hay note with a hint of manure in it. Again, it's not prominent, but it is there on the palate. Delicious. Fruity, sticky, sweet, high viscosity, coat your mouth really well. Very fruity, candy fruity, like fruit stripe gum, confectionery fruit. And what's interesting about this particular bottle that I have here is that fruit note is very present in the Springbank 18 that I recently reviewed, which I believe was a 2020 as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it was. On the Springbank 18, you really, that fruit note is lighter and more pronounced and more well-rounded. It's in here, and with a little bit of water, because obviously I have tasted it with the water, it really brings out that fruit note. So, Springbank 18, you're going to spend about $250. Springbank 12-year cask strength in my area retails for about $109. I've seen it as high as maybe $120, $126, but I paid $109 for this. So way less than half the price of the Springbank 18. So if you want to find out what a Springbank 18 is, buy a bottle of this, add some water into it, and you're certainly not going to get the full experience of the 18, but you're going to get pretty damn close. And for that matter, buy 2 of these bottles, and that's what I would recommend. Okay, on the finish, we haven't talked about the finish. On the finish, you definitely get the oak spice with a hint of cinnamon, but the cinnamon is not pronounced, but it's that condensed oak spice that lingers on the tongue, lingers in the back of the tongue. Slight, I don't want to say slight burn in the throat, but a nice chest warming experience. Very, very nice. I would say the finish is medium long, heading in the long direction. Okay, with water and a quick palate cleanse. On the nose, it brings out the fruits, the sweet candiness, a lot more. The candied fruits, that fruit stripe gum is front and center. That oak spice has substantially dissipated, with more of a minty menthol afterglow into the throat and into the warming of the chest. So I'm definitely picking up more of the minty menthol. It is there in the cask strength, but it's much more pronounced when you add water. I'm not normally a big water guy. To me, it seems like too much science, too much work, too much experience. I'm lost for words. When I sit down at the end of the night and I want to have a dram, it's rare that I bring water with it and start playing with it. But this cask strength, right off the bat, I would say, obviously try it straight, but pour it, add a little bit of, half a teaspoon, even a teaspoon of water to it, to a decent sized dram. Let it sit for 15, 20 minutes. Bring it to your couch, and you're going to enjoy the hell out of it, or at least I am anyway. And again, you'll see, you'll get where the 18, you'll get those 18 notes on here, just not as pronounced, but at half the price. This is what I would recommend. So how would I score this? I really enjoy it, and the scoring system is for my own pleasure and enjoyment and delight. All day long, I'm going to rate this between a 90 and a 92, depending on a variety of things, which we don't need to get into. But yeah, all day long, I would rate this batch 21, 2020 release, 56.1, between a 90 and a 92. I think it's, I couldn't find any flaws with it at all. Really enjoyed it. So again, check out fellow whiskey tubers. I believe they're in New York, near the New Jersey line somewhere, and they're called Flat Cap Whiskey without the E. And I am John from Just Whiskey without the E. And again, thanks for all the new subscribers. Please click like and subscribe and consider becoming a Patreon. And remember, no matter how good it is or how much it costs, $110-ish in my area, that's it. So hats off to you all, and take care.